What's going on, guys? Fourth and Inches back with another video. Thank you again for all the support that's been given to us on the previous videos. I hope everyone enjoyed the first installment of NFL Basics with QB positioning. So we're moving on today with wide receiver positioning. It'll probably be a shorter segment than yesterday, so I hope everyone enjoys. If you do like what you see, please subscribe here. Make sure you click on that notification bell so you're notified when all of our shit drops. But yeah, I'm a little bit excited. Happy VE Day to everyone. Stay safe. It's been your boy, Carrie Breezy, Fourth and Inches. Take it easy. Peace! What up, what up, what up, what up? We're back with episode 3. Can't believe it's been 3 weeks since we started the podcast. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. We finally got a name. April's finally out the way. That was the worst April I've ever had in my life. So fuck April. It's on to May. Lockdown slowly easing, I think. We're excited to drop back in with a third episode. The sooner all of this is over, the sooner we can get into our studio. We've got quite a packed episode this week. We're going to continue where we left off, where we started last week with regards to some information about the NFL and how new people are wanting to learn about the sport and get into that. So I'm going to head off a segment there, and then we're going to move on to a few things as well. And we've finally got a name for the podcast, which we're really excited about. How excited is everyone?
Woo! Buzzing, man. Absolutely buzzing.
But yeah, we'll announce the winner at some point in the podcast. Obviously, it's not going to be at the start because you need to watch. So, yeah, and excitingly as well, we are now going to move uploading the audio onto Spotify, and we're working on iTunes as well. So,
big things coming.
Definitely. So if you don't want to watch our ugly mugs, that's absolutely fine. You can listen to us over on Spotify. I'll drop the links once this is uploaded. And then as soon as we're approved on iTunes as well, I'll drop them on there. But yeah, as I said, we're going to drop in with some more information and quick recap on QBs, which is over to our main man, Mr. Beaver.
How is everyone? Right. So yeah, picking up from where I was talking last week, QB. Best thing you can get from a quarterback is he's the general, he's the captain on that team. He's got to be looking at, he's trying to read the defense and what the defense are putting in front of him, and he's ultimately he will be picking which play is going to work best. He can adjust at the line, so basically his main job is to man manage, and he has to put the ball in positions where wide receivers, which we're going to talk about in a minute with Carl, can flourish really, and how they can win games. So over to Carl for wide receivers.
Yeah, so the kind of itinerary that we're going to have over the next few weeks is because obviously it can be quite a daunting sport to get into, and it's really confusing. We're going to start off with a breakdown of positions. Obviously, we started with QB last week, moving on to wide receivers today, and then we'll go through the offense and the defense, and then probably move on to things like formations, that sort of thing, whatever anyone asks for. But we thought it's a good place to start to break down onto individual positions. So, as Beef said, the QB is essentially the playmaker. So he's controlling everything. But to succeed and to flourish in that position, he obviously needs a couple of good wide receivers at least. I think mentioned it briefly last week. The best kind of comparison for people that are looking to compare it to English football, that although it's difficult, are essentially your wingers. What they are is kind of a pass catching specialists per se. They're usually typically quite fast, tall, as most people are in the NFL, I'd say. And essentially their main job is to run routes and create separation and space from their opposition, which would usually be a cornerback or a safety. They're occasionally called on to kind of block as well, to make more running room for the running backs as well. But yeah, I mean, as I said, typically fast people, tall, and obviously have to have a high IQ of the game as well. I don't know if there's anything that you want to jump in on there, Beeves, to kind of add on to that.
Yeah, the high IQs, it's one. I mean, if you listen to wide receivers talk, a lot of them are just like, yeah, just get me the ball. They can be known as they are a bit selfish, a bit prima donna. So they do sum up perfectly with a winger in today's modern football. And the truth of it is, they are prima donnas. They are big times, and you'll see them. They'll be wearing all the gear. They'll be like, "Yo, give me that ball. We'll win the game. All he's got to do is get the ball to me. Get the ball to me." And they are selfish competitors, but their main aim is to get in the end zone and win the game. That's how you make a name for yourself. They are highlight reels. A lot of them are. I mean, there's so many times that, like, Odell Beckham is probably the best way to describe a prima donna, really. I mean, the guy does everything is about him, but in the end of the day, he's still trying to win and trying to get that ring. So it's important for them to have like an ego. I feel like egos are big in sports, and I feel like it suits the wide receiver. He's got to believe that he's going to beat the man across from him.
Absolutely. I mean, so in terms of what I've talked, said about separation, things like that. What the QB is going to be looking for is looking for them to get into a space and beat their man. And typically, obviously, they want to try and get 10 yards on every play. So, they're not repeating downs. They want to be getting those first downs as quick as possible. And a lot of them as well, as Booth has said, are prima donnas. So they might be perceived as just deep threat wide receivers. So they're just going to be trying to beat their man and get 70 yards down the field and looking for a one-handed catch, that sort of thing. They definitely are highlight reels. I mean, I think 3 of my favourites of all time will probably be Jerry Rice, Mike Evans, obviously because I'm a Bucks fan. And I'll probably go, to be fair, someone quite recent as well, probably Julio Jones, because he's another beast. But we didn't talk about this before, but I'm going to move on and ask each one of you who your top 3 wide receivers are as well of all time. So I'll start with Mr. Hales.
I'd probably say, because I've only really been looking at the sport in depth over the last probably 5 or 6 years, I'd have to stick it to that time, in which I'd probably say I think I'd agree with you on Julio Jones. Oh, no, I'm not choosing him.
Fair enough.
I think from what I've seen, I loved Percy Harvin when he was at Seahawks, because that's when and that's more of a like sentimental. That's when I first got into the Seahawks. He was the wide receiver for the Seahawks, so I watched him, and that was like I was learning that sort of wide receiver with him. So I'd say he's like one of my top ones. I absolutely love DK Metcalf, and I think he will be a top receiver. You can all laugh.
No.
He is one of my favourites. And apart from that, I think going outside, Megatron's pretty good. He's up there. Or you've put me on the spot here, Carl. I don't like it.
Carl has proper threw you under the bus here.
I have to. It needs to be natural. So
yeah, no, it does. No, it does. You're right. I get it. Don't worry.
Pass the pressure. I understand.
You know what? I'm going Megatron, Percy Harvin, and Michael Thomas. I'm going Michael Thomas.
Okay.
I love watching him. He's got an absolute gun quarterback with him. And I think he is going to be consistently a very good top wide receiver.
I like it.
As long as he keeps playing, even with Jameis Winston, he'd still be a top 5 receiver in the league.
Like I said with the egos as well, with Michael Thomas, I mean, his Twitter handle is "Can't guard Mike." So
yeah. He comes across as quite quiet and refined in interviews and stuff, but he's a fucking proper prima donna, isn't he? Like, he loves it. He wants all the smoke.
All are, and like you both summed it up so perfectly by saying that they're a highlight reel. They literally are. Like, the bigger, if it's a big play, 9 times out of 10, they're involved, aren't they?
Yeah.
If it's a big play, it's normally a fucking Hail Mary pass or a deep pass where they've shook off a tackle, a cornerback, tackle as in an actual tackle, and they've gone and ran 70 yards. Yeah. And that is the highlight reel, isn't it? If you click on YouTube, highlights of the game, the wide receivers are going to be in that video. So
Absolutely.
perfectly summed up. That's what I'm trying to suggest. Well done, Carl. Congrats, mate.
Moving on to Mr. Shearing. How are we, by the way? I didn't introduce you all. I feel like it's been going on for so long now that everyone knows.
We're all good. Yeah, mate, all good. All good. And thanks for not going for me first, because it's given me a chance to have a quick think there.
Yeah, why did I have to go first? Like, what's going on?
Because they'd already seen my ugly mug, mate, and they wanted to move on.
Sorry, whether they are in any particular order or not, I wouldn't say so. But for me, I would have been a Panthers fan. Steve Smith. Nothing else needs to be said about him. I think he's class. Or was even, when we first had him. I think we've been trying to strive to get that ilk of a receiver since he left us. Following him, I would probably say Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I was contemplating throwing him in, to be fair.
Yeah, because of his age and his durability. For someone to be able to go that long in the game and play at the level he has, especially with the turnover of quarterbacks that Arizona have seen as well, he's just consistently performs. And finally, maybe controversial, but maybe not, I suppose. But for me, again, similar to Nick in terms of being in the game now for the last however many years it is, but I would probably say OBJ because of his because of how he plays. Again, what Nick says is spectacular catches, all that kind of thing. So he's someone I definitely resonated to when I was first kind of getting into the game. So Smith, Fitzgerald, and OBJ.
Cool. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from with OBJ from maybe the first couple of years when we got into it. He's it's not been there last year and obviously the year before, but yeah. Understandable.
Bit of an oxymoron. Beaver saying he wants the Super Bowl and goes to the Browns. It's questionable.
Hey.
Very questionable.
Mate, he just wanted to get back with Jarvis Landry.
He just wanted to go and play with Jarvis again.
Wanted to go see the boy, didn't he? And to be fair, we all looked at that offense last year and we go, they could win.
Yeah, we did. But they didn't.
And then the quarterback gets found out.
I think we all, I know I did. I know you did, Bees. I'm probably sure you and Liam did as well. Nick expected a lot more from Baker Mayfield.
Oh, yeah. Playoffs minimum.
Yeah.
When you see the offense, you just... And do you know what? And I think the defense is quite underrated. The defense was quite underrated as well. I'm not saying it was really good, but it was an underrated defense.
Yeah.
So I think, they massively underachieved last year. Massively.
Eves, I'm going to call you out. Don't you tell me that you didn't expect more from him. You fucking loved him.
I didn't. No. See, this is where you got me wrong. What I love is Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham is number 3 on my list for wide receivers. The geezer's a freak. He makes a whole lot of plays on the reg. And when I see him sign for a team and they've got Jarvis Landry one side and him the other, all I'm thinking to myself is, they're geared up. And Baker Mayfield took the Browns from the worst team in the league, going 0-16 to 8-8. So you're looking for progression from it. I was looking him to progress, and Baker Mayfield's got a bit of an ego, and I love somebody with a bit of an ego, a bit of a dickhead. You know what I mean? It probably sums me up, to be fair.
Yeah, I was going to say, remind you of yourself.
Beaver just staring at a mirror right now. But Beaver, what I will say is that 8-8. Do you think that's down to Baker Mayfield? Do you think if there was another quarterback in there, they would have gone 8-8? Because I think they 100% do. I think there's probably a couple of quarterbacks that played last year that would have got in a worse. For instance, what I'm saying is 90% of the quarterbacks in the league would have got them probably to that or more.
The thing I'd say about Baker Mayfield, the thing is he's like he brought an attitude to Cleveland. Like and that's what he is. And then last year, I feel like he felt like he'd made it. He felt like he was already there. When instead of fighting for something, like he didn't strive to the next level. Like it's about hunger for me, and like I didn't see that from Baker last year. I seen he was getting upset when they were losing, but I never seen him getting hungry and wanting it more than everyone else. All I seen was him appearing in 65 million adverts. Like instead of thinking you're a star, be a star. Like fight for everything, and that's what I like. When he was at Oklahoma, because they weren't the biggest university, they weren't the big time. Everything he did was big time. Everything, and then that first year at the Browns, when he didn't have Odell Beckham in there, and it was about he came in with this attitude of I was the number one pick, I'm the guy. And then I feel like he lost that last year, so I feel like he stepped off, like, and I just feel like I'm interested to see what he does because this sophomore slumps happen. Todd Gurley had a down second year and then went off the next year, so I'm interested to see what happens with the Browns. I mean, I think they're trash, but I'm interested to see what happens because I still think Odell Beckham will get traded before the season starts. But
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
But yeah, that's my thoughts on Baker Mayfield. I don't think he wants it. I don't think he's hungry enough. And then my other two receivers. Number 2, I'm going Terrell Owens.
Yeah,
This geezer's a freak.
yeah. I nearly put him just because he is the epitome of ego as well when it comes to wide receivers.
He played a Super Bowl against the Patriots with a broken leg and went for 135 yards. He had a broken
I don't know
leg.
what to say about that.
He had a broken leg. It was ridiculous, and like he was ego. He was like angry. He was always angry, but there was something about him that he was a dog on the field. Like he wasn't going to be the reason you lost the game. And like I said, he played a Super Bowl with a broken leg and went 130 yards on us. It was ridiculous. I mean, they lost, but you know, we're the Patriots at the end of the day.
So
But
all that broken leg for nothing.
Yeah. He's not going to be the reason he lost the game. He went 135 yards. Had a broken leg, but they lost. But yeah.
Yeah, but
Nice.
number one, right?
I reckon I can guess number 1.
Number one's my biased option. Julian Edelman,
Yeah,
100%.
Thought that would be it.
It was going to be him or Randy Moss.
It's not about
Who's he played for again?
the New England Patriots, mate. Yeah. And he's
Oh,
still there as well before anybody says anything.
Not for long. Come on, Julian.
It's only
Come
because
down to
flights are
Tampa.
cancelled.
Jules for me is one of the highest intelligence football players there is on the field. Like he was a guy who was a quarterback at college, got drafted, wasn't ever going to play quarterback for us. He's threw the ball a couple of times for us, but that was trick plays and everything like that. And then he's come into the game and he's learned his trade. He had to sit. He had to be patient. He was very much used as a special teamer at first. He played cornerback in his first Super Bowl. And then he moved to wide receiver and he's become a top 5 receiver in the league. He's so intelligent in his route running and how he fights so hard to win. Like, I love everything about him. He's like an underdog story, and I'm into that. And I think he's so good, and he's so good for our organisation. He sets a tone for what we want from players and youngsters and stuff like that. So it's good to see people like him and making big statements in big games. And his catch against Atlanta in the Super Bowl is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. And that's just pure about will and determination. And he was marked up for that game, and he was telling people that we're not meant to be here. You're too old. We can't do this. Like, and on the sideline, you see him. He gets angry. He's not afraid to say how it is. Not afraid to yell at his quarterback. And for me, that just everything about him is why he's my number 1 receiver.
I think he's going to be massive for you this year because you've lost your ultimate leader in Brady, and I think he's going to arguably come into even more of his own now.
Carl just laughed at that.
No, it's 'cause I'm sure Liam was doing that as a dick. Like,
Oh, mate, there was no way that wasn't a dig. Like,
and if it wasn't, I'm taking it as an underhanded dig to you, and I'll laugh at it.
No, I was being
definite underhand.
genuine and sincere there. Thank you very
No,
much.
you wasn't.
No,
That's why you said it with a
that's fine.
smile on your face.
Brilliant. Yeah, so recapping on that, just have a look at all of those players. We're going to drop some highlight reels as well after this segment.
It's a Barry. We couldn't stop it.
In a dramatic championship game, Unitas and Barry made their reputations. Barry's 12 receptions and 178 receiving yards were postseason records.
Throws to Barry. Barry shakes off one man. Back goes Unitas to throws. Throws. It's good to Barry.
Determination and discipline enabled him to retire as the game's all-time leader in receptions.
But these hands took me to places that I would never be able to envision.
Sidesteps and throws this one to the corner. Chris Carter! Touchdown, Vikings! Touchdown! Chris Carter! Oh, man! Carter does it again. What a catch by Carter! Carter! Touchdown! What a play!
It allowed me and afforded me the opportunity to one day be selected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
I love football. I love this game.
Megatron, you are crazy. What a catch. Wants Calvin. Got him. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
How can you cover him with one man?
It doesn't get much prettier than that. Calvin Johnson. Sets throws. End zone. Wants Calvin. Got him. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Larry Fitzgerald, the legend.
Fitzgerald has it. Touchdown.
What a catch by Larry. Wow. Just amazed. Fitz does not drop touchdown passes.
Touchdown, Larry Fitzgerald. For the future Hall of Famer, the greatest Arizona Cardinal ever, Larry Fitzgerald.
He beat him by 3 steps, and Craig Morton threw as well on that one as he's ever thrown in his life. Great catch, tremendous run. Throws the bomb way down for Hayes. Bobby's got it, Bob Hayes.
Marvin Harrison was one of the greatest receivers the game has ever had.
Marvin got it! Touchdown! What a catch! What a catch! Whoa! Here's it out to Marvin. He got it! What a catch! Touchdown! Touchdown! What a catch by Marvin Harrison!
Who can make a play? I can!
Owens! Owens! He caught it! He caught it! He caught it! He's got Owens at the 40, Owens at the 30, at the 20, at the 10, 68-yard touchdown.
Start pouring the molds for the statue. Goodness gracious heavens.
Throw it up above his head. They can't jump with me. Golly. Downfield wants Moss. It is caught. Touchdown.
Tom Brady to Randy Moss, and they each have set NFL records on the go-ahead touchdown.
And he has got Moss. Touchdown, Vikings.
What do you say about the super freak, Randy Moss?
What a magical receiver that guy is.
I think Don Hudson is the most dominant single player at his position of any in NFL history.
Don Hudson, one of the fastest men in pro football.
Don's blazing speed made him hard to cover. This time, watch him take a long throw from Herbert, good for 6 points.
When he retired, he had 3 times as many touchdown receptions as any receiver in the first 25 years of pro football.
He owns just about every receiving record on earth.
Gary was exceptional.
He changed the way people played that position. The greatest receiver of all time.
Rice is behind everybody. He's got it. Touchdown, 49ers.
Singled up, he's almost impossible to cover.
Touchdown, Jerry Rice, number 5. Launches it for the end zone. Jerry Rice. Oh, what a catch by Rice. Young to Jerry Rice. Touchdown, San Francisco.
The greatest receiver to ever play the game of football.